Let's bring in former Deputy National Security Advisor, the Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow, Victoria Coates. Victoria, thank you so much for being here. I think Brian and I both would agree when we hear Davos, we go, eh. However, the president is going with the biggest group of U.S. representatives ever. This is flood the zone, we're here. What kind of message did that send to the rest of the world, particularly those thumb-sucking globalists?
Well, Dagan, Brian, good to be with you. And yeah, I think the thumb-sucking globalists are probably shaking in their Gucci shoes at this point because they know President Trump is coming in a master of the universe mode to lay down the law with them about how things are going to go. And Europe has been making all of these noises about how they're going to protect Greenland. I think they sent 20 people on that mission this week, that somehow that's going to repel the United States military that just took out Nicolas Maduro. So, their threats are pretty empty. But it's a really great opportunity for the president to send an economic message that the GDP between the European Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States, that's over $50 trillion. That's where the game is. And so if the Europeans can get their climate policies in order, if they can get their security spending in order, this can be a great time for the transatlantic relationship. But he's not going to play the game as usual.
I want to move on to another relationship. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney met with President Xi to ink a trade deal slashing tariffs on Chinese EVs and Canadian farm products. He's breaking from President Trump's hardline agenda, and Carney selling it as a new economic partnership with some very interesting wording.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Okay, so Victoria, Carney's talking about a new world order as he partners with China. Opinion? That sounds like the most foolish thing a person could say. What does he mean by that?
No, it's a terrible bet. And apparently what he wants are cheap electric vehicles to flood into Canada. And bear in mind, Brian, these Chinese EVs are terrible. They all have kill switches on them. So you can be driving around one day and Chairman Xi can decide he wants to shut off your car. That sounds awful. And why do we really want EVs in Canada anyway? They don't have the infrastructure. The distances they travel are enormous. They have ample oil. This is just ridiculous. He's pandering to a far left base. And, anyone who bets on China at this point instead of the United States is just in for a world of hurt. And he knows he's vulnerable to China in the Arctic. And so maybe he's trying to get the Chinese to eat him last. He'd do a whole lot better to support President Trump on Greenland and take care of his own security.
Exactly. It's exactly what I was thinking. I have a globe at home. And you really do need to look on a globe or a flat map of the Arctic area to understand the critical nature of Greenland to our security and, quite frankly, all of North America's security. And the shipping paths that the Russian ships and subs travel. Right. And and Carney is sucking up to communist China, but not siding with us as we try to secure Greenland, which is a critical base, not just for us, North America, but NATO as well.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I think we're going to get to a good deal on Greenland. It might look like the freedom of association agreements we have with some of the Pacific Island countries, Palau, Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, where we get basically a veto over who gets to call at their ports and a lot of security concessions. And we pay for that. We support the people of those nations. They have some political integration into the United States. This would make so much sense for Greenland, Dagan, because, Denmark can't project power around the island the way we can. And they certainly can't keep the Russians and the Chinese away. This would, as you said, good for NATO, good for Canada, good for the United States, and good for Greenland. Let's take a win.
Before we go, the Nobel Institute, bigly mad After Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado presented President Trump with her Nobel Prize in the Oval Office yesterday, that prompted the Institute to respond. And Brian and I think I should read this like the Swedish chef. A laureate, yeah, I won't, but a laureate cannot share the prize with others, nor transfer it once it has been announced. A Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, can also never be revoked. The decision is final and applies for all time. Was that pompous enough, at least?
That was well done,
Okay,
David.
you
Yes.
go.
Victoria, I want to know what you think about this whole Nobel Peace Prize transferability kerfluffle that's going on.
Yeah, I think those guys are probably going to be at Davos, too. Well, what I think is that we were very proud to host Maria Corina Machado at the Heritage Foundation today for her public press conference. You know, she came to the Homestead of Freedom in Washington, D.C. to send her message, and it was really impassioned. She talked about, you know, bringing the children of Venezuela home, all of those 8 million who have left the country, and bringing prosperity back. I think it was a great week for Venezuela and a great week for President Trump.
Victoria Coates, good to see you. Covered a lot of ground there. We appreciate it. Thank you.